Hey there friends, and welcome to my channel. Today, I want to discuss situational leadership. As leaders, we know that we need to be using different leadership styles with people in our teams. Sometimes we need to be coaching people, sometimes supporting them, directing them, and in some cases also delegating tasks. It can get quite tricky to decide which approach is most appropriate depending on the situation. This is where situational leadership comes in and gives us a framework to follow to have people in our team get exactly the type of support that is best for them and our teams. In this video, I will explain situational leadership in a very practical way and remove all the fluff around it. Discuss the leadership styles you need to know to be able to use this model, and talk about the concept that this model relies on, which is the developmental level of your team members. And as a bonus, I will also provide some practical tips on how to get started with it today. If you're new to management or you'd like to understand a bit better what situational leadership is, this video is for you. And with all that being said, let's get to it and learn more about it. To begin with, it's worth mentioning that this model is not anything new when it comes to its existence. The theory was first introduced back in 1969 when Blanchard and Hersey mentioned it in their book Management of Organizational Behavior. The theory itself was first called the life cycle theory of leadership and was later renamed to what we know today as situational leadership theory. Both Blanchard and Hersey wrote their own very successful books after that in the 70s and 80s. Blanchard's, for example, first book, The 1-Minute Manager, came out in 1982, and Hersey further developed the situational leadership model in his The Situational Leadership book, which came out in 1985. All the books I just mentioned I highly recommend, and I have links for them in the pinned comment below if you want to find them. So what is actually this theory? In very simple terms, it's about adapting your leadership style based on the people you're leading and the specific situation at hand. We can imagine a team where there are people different levels and with different needs. For example, a high-performing senior engineer might not need the same level of support compared to a new starter in the team, or an underperforming engineer requires different attention compared to an overperformer. How do we adapt and as leaders know what leadership style each person in our team needs? Situational leadership identifies two types of behaviors that leaders exhibit in any given interaction or situation. We have directive behavior and supportive behavior. Directive is how much direction someone needs to complete the task. Supportive is how much support someone needs to complete the task. These two sets of behaviors, when measured, give us four distinct leadership styles, which are directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. Let's put these on the diagram so we can understand them a bit better. At the bottom right, we have directing style. This is style number 1. The directing style is used when a team member requires regular guidance. In this style, the leader will make decisions and direct the team member by providing high levels of directive behavior and low supportive behavior for the task at hand. At the top right, we have coaching. The coaching style is used when a team member is willing to perform a task but doesn't have the skills yet. In this style, the leader will exhibit high levels of both directive and supportive behaviors. Leaders using this style aim to help team members develop or improve their skills generally. Top left, we have supporting. Supporting is style number 3 and is used when a team member has the ability required to perform the task but for some reason lacks confidence or is unwilling to do so. The leader in this case will find ways to increase confidence and provide more support and direction. Bottom left, we have delegating. Delegating is the last style, is style number 4, and is used when you feel comfortable letting a team member make decisions without much need for your support. In order to do that, the team member has to have a high level of ability and confidence. Leaders leveraging this style will set a vision, outline desired outcomes, and grant authority needed for it. We as leaders need to be flexible and know when to use each style with our team members and not be stuck to only one style. A note to remember is that the same person or team might have a need for different styles depending on the situation. We can imagine a software engineer being comfortable with one project but not the next one, or being more comfortable with certain aspects of their roles than others. This is what makes this model great, its fluidity and flexibility. However, there's a high level of pressure on the leader to be constantly assessing what each person or team needs from them. How do we do that? This is where the concept of developmental level comes in. To assess the developmental level of people in our team, we're looking at two areas: competence and commitment. Competence is how well someone can execute a task. Commitment is how motivated and comfortable is this person to execute this task. I would like to walk through an example, a very simplified example, so we can see how these two come into play and form different steps along the way. We will be mapping each step with one of the leadership styles we discussed previously. So let's imagine we have a new person, John, joining our team. John is going to go on a journey with us and go through a developmental flow. So at the beginning, John is at the very first stage of his developmental level. He just joined the team, he's excited, he wants to learn about our systems, so he has high level of commitment but low competence levels. This is the D1 level. Here, a directing leadership style shines the most. You provide explicit instructions, set clear goals, and supervise their work closely. A few months later, John has worked on a few tickets and is now aware of the complexities of our systems. Now, that has led him to being a bit more skeptical about the big ideas that he had when he joined us and feels a bit overwhelmed with a variety of the components that the team owns and also the different projects that we're working on. This is the D2 level. John has some level of competence and because he's worked on these tickets, but lower level of commitment. This is where the coaching style comes in. You'd still be providing direction, but also nurturing their abilities, providing constructive feedback, and boosting their morale. Some time goes by, and now John is a star. He understands our systems inside out, he's capable of performing any technical task given, but lacks confidence when it comes to taking responsibility and ownership for them. This is the D3 level, where we have high level of competence and a variable level of commitment. Here, a supporting leadership style works best. You transition from a teacher to a facilitator. You listen to John's ideas, provide support, boost his confidence, and motivate him to take ownership of his tasks. And that's how we get to the last stage, over time, stage number 4, in which John has high competence and high commitment. He's skilled, motivated, confident in his abilities, and can take the initiative to drive a project forward independently. Here, a delegating leadership style is ideal. You can give the responsibility to John, letting him run the show while you provide guidance when needed. A side note to remember, these developmental levels are not static. This was a very simplified example just to demonstrate a flow that it might take. However, team members can move up and down this scale depending on various factors, like task complexity, personal circumstances, or changes within their team or the project. The key is to maintain an open dialogue with your team, regularly assess their abilities and motivation, and adapt your leadership style accordingly. Now that we understand the ins and outs of situational leadership, I would like to share some actionable and practical tips on how to become a situational leader. First of all, identify and write somewhere the most common tasks that people in your team are working on. After that, assess your team's developmental level. Go through the model and label each person on where you think they sit on the developmental level. Sometimes I like to do this exercise with the people in my team as a collaborative exercise. This way we have a good alignment on their needs. Having that will help us understand what is the most appropriate style for each task and for each person. This information will allow us to experiment and start using different styles for the different people in our team. Not to be forgotten, review and adjust. Until this becomes second nature, I like to suggest having a personal recurrent meeting every week to be assessing this model, new tasks, and how people are doing. After a while, your brain will get wired in a way that the different leadership styles will be coming to you automatically. So there we have it. Now you know everything about situational leadership. From how it was created, the different styles that it identifies, directing, coaching, supporting, delegating, the developmental levels based on competence and commitment, and also how to take your first steps towards it. Thank you for staying with me till the end, and I really hope you found this video helpful. If you would like to learn about how I create successful roadmaps for my teams, you can watch my last video where I talk about that in detail. Don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your colleagues or friends, comment down below if you have any questions or thoughts, and subscribe for more. Until next time, stay curious, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next one.